beautiful California day. Of course it is, isn't it always here? Hello everybody and welcome along to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. I'm John Hindhaugh. Jeremy Shaw is alongside me. We'll bring Jeremy in just a moment. But let's check in first of all with Shea Adam as we're getting ready to qualify for tomorrow's big race. We're on the left-hand coast, just outside Monterey, with 11 corners and 2.25 miles. This is a classic road racing circuit, natural terrain road course, as we say over here. Down at the Andretti hairpin at town, turn 2, good opportunity to do a bit of outbraking, maybe even go around the outside and do a cutback. We've seen a couple of side-by-side passes through turn 6 earlier on today in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America race. I wouldn't recommend that on a regular basis. Then of course into the top of turns 8 and 8A, which the whole world knows as the corkscrew. Then down at the final corner, the left-hander at turn 11 before you come back onto the front straight. Shea Adam is out in the beautiful weather with the temperature at the moment very nice indeed in the air at just under 60 Fahrenheit. That's mid-20s on Celsius. Getting a bit toasty for the Michelin tyres, almost in triple digits for Fahrenheit. That's well up in the 30s, getting on towards the 40s, isn't it, in Celsius? Shea, who's out there, who's getting ready to go, and what do you know?
Well, I can tell you that Alex Riberas is going to be qualifying the Heart of Racing Aston Martin. He sat on pole here back in 2016, went on to win that race, and that was the last race prior to Long Beach that Alex had actually won. So that's a very good omen. Just give him a little bit of a fist bump as he gets ready to go. Some of the other cars that we've got out here, GTD Pro, we've got Daniel Juncadella going to be qualifying the Mercedes for WeatherTech Racing. Set the fastest time in that second practice session before it ended. We've got John Edwards in the BMW for M Team RLL. That's the number 25 machine. I saw Jack Hawksworth's helmet behind the wheel of the 14 Lexus for Vassar Sullivan, but I also saw Ben Barnicoat in his fire suit too, so I will just confirm that for you in a second. We've got Jam in the Porsche for Pfaff Motorsports, and Jordan Taylor, 4 times a pole winner here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, is taking the qualifying duties for Corvette. Yep, it is still Hawksworth. In GTD, because we have all the GT cars going out at the same time for qualifying in reverse order, Rob Ferriol in the number 99 for Hardpoint will be in that Porsche. We've got Robbie Foley in the 96 Turner Motorsports BMW. Keep an eye on him. He'll be very quick today because he's also got a race after this as well for the Michelin Pilot Challenge. Brendan Reeb should be doing the qualifying duties for Inception in their McLaren. We've got Russell Ward in the Windward Mercedes, the number 57. Aiden Reed, the guy who has avoided me 5 times so far this weekend for an interview by, well, actually being in the car or having his helmet on. He's doing the qualifying for Rick Ware Racing in their Acura. I talked with Jaden Conwright and Daniel Morad a little bit earlier, and it is Jaden doing qualifying for the NTE SSR Lamborghini, and Robert McGuinness doing the qualifying for the other Lamborghini, that one for Carbon. But it is not Daniel Morad, it is Michael De Quesada who is doing qualifying for the Mercedes. As far as we are concerned with Allegra, another Mercedes, Stephen McAleer is going to be handling qualifying. His first time driving today in the Mercedes for Team Cawthorpe. We've got Roman DeAngelis in the 27 Heart of Racing Aston Martin, Ryan Hardwick in the 16 Porsche for Wright Motorsport. That was the fastest car in that class, but of course that was with Jan Halen at the wheel. And then we've got Frankie Montecalvo in the 12 Lexus, and Madison Snow, the 2017 pole winner in the Paul Miller Racing BMW. That's everybody. That's a lot.
Well done, Shea. The format, if you can't remember, it's been a while since we had a race here at this time of the year at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. 15 minutes. So it is a fast 15 minutes to set qualifying. Just the one qualifying session here. Points and grid positions all done in one shot as far as the 20 cars that are sitting ready to go. Note that the Corvette has just got the nose of the bright yellow number 3 slightly pointed out. In fact, they're almost sitting as if they were ready to start at Le Mans. Tails into the pit wall. Let's see when the green flag flies. It flies exactly on time, of course it does. The Lamborghini Huracan being held for a moment by the Carbine team, I think. Let's see if that now goes out. But they were waiting for the first rush. Jeremy Shaw, good afternoon to you. It's warmed up quite a bit, coming up to almost, 10 minutes to 1 at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. We've seen exceptionally quick times yesterday and particularly this morning, but we've cranked up the track temperature in particular because the sun's been shining on it since the sun cracked over the horizon. I'm not sure if we're going to see lap record pace here.
Seems to be a problem there for that the Courthoff
Dirk Muller
Motorsport entry. Yeah, it's ground to a halt on the pit exit lane, heading down the hill, and they won't want to leave that car there if he can't get it refired.
Because that's started
over the top of a blind brow. So if he can't get going, yeah, I mean, at the very least, you should be able to coast it down there, knock it out of gear somehow.
I think he's fired it.
He's got it going.
The V8 has fired. Yes, as I was saying, Jeremy, a little bit warmer, quite a lot warmer actually, on the track surface than it was this morning when we saw those exceptionally fast times in the free practice 2 session that were, I mean, lap record, qualifying record pace by some margin. It's not the perfect conditions that it was earlier on today.
It isn't, no, but I would certainly expect to see a new qualifying record for GTD. Well, it would be a record for GTD Pro, because that's a new class here.
Yeah.
The question is, will it be quicker than the old GTD standard? That was set by a pro driver last year, Lawrence Vantour, in the points designated qualifying session. Thankfully, we don't have that this year. He turned a lap of Lawrence Vantour, 123.8. And we saw this morning only the top 3 cars were underneath that time. That would be Daniel Juncadella in the WeatherTech car number 79, Matthew Jaminet in the Porsche number 9, and Jack Hawksworth in the Bass Sullivan Lexus number 14. So 3 different cars were quicker than the old standard.
So the situation is that it is 15 minutes, it's straight through. You need a minimum of 12 minutes of green flag to make it official, otherwise we would have to start under championship, grid the cars under championship points positions. You cannot do any adjustments to the car, make any adjustments to the car at all. That includes things like even checking the tyre pressures. You're actually not even allowed to touch the car. If the driver came in and was sitting there and needed help opening the door, you would have to ask an IMSA official if you could do that, if he would give you permission to do that, because strictly speaking, touching the car will get you thrown out of the qualifying session. So the mechanics, the engineers, the tyre engineers and technicians, their job is done right now. This really is down to the driver for the next 11.5 minutes. And coming through to start, first flying lap then, in the number 3 is Jordan Taylor for Corvette. Clear track ahead of him, they've got him out in good track position, down through the gearbox, goes wide at the first part of the Andretti hairpin, then cuts the car back and gets it straightened up as quickly as possible, up through the gears, setting up for turn 3, the right-hander. Just drifting it in, looked okay there, under the Michelin bridge, now into turn 4. Nice steady throttle and picking up the throttle nice and early as he heads down towards turn 5. 5 and 6, really important corners because you're going all the way up to the top of the hill from there. Looks pretty smooth. Possibly, Jeremy, we might not see the fastest time early on. It might take, even in these warm temperatures, a couple of laps for these drivers to get the Michelins up to temperature and pressure.
Yeah, and one of the keys to this race, we talked about it, we will talk about it all weekend long, tyre degradation here. It does chew up the tyres. You have to be careful not to push too hard too soon on the fresh set of tyres. So I think many of the teams will probably elect to bring them in somewhat slowly, more so than would sometimes be the case where you get right out of the box, you go flat out, you nail it. It might behoove the teams on this occasion to be a little bit more circumspect about the warm-up of the tyres and then push hard. But it might be different for different cars as well.
Oh, very much so. You've got such a variety of cars in the GT3, GT Daytona category, with front-engined, literally front, mid and rear-engined cars, which all have a slightly different balance. Then you've got the Corvette, of course, which isn't a GT3 car. It's been balanced in performance terms back to GT3s. That was built as a GT Le Mans car. Its sister car will be racing next weekend at Spa in the WEC, and then going on to Le Mans and the 24 Hours, which is back in its normal June date. So it is a real challenge for all of these drivers, for the tyre manufacturer Michelin as well, to come up with a tyre that is equally at home on all these cars with very different design and performance philosophies and envelopes. It is the Carbahn with Peregrine number 39. That's the grey car with the very bright green stripes on it that is at the moment at the head of the field. That's Robert McGuinness, who's the silver driver in that car, who has set the time ahead of Rick Ware Racing, the NSX, in second place. Home race for the Carbahn team, of course. GTD Pro, not yet up to pace yet. Halfway through in about a minute's time. 8.5 to go.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? They're pretty much everybody's done 3 laps at this stage. Best lap for the fastest of the pro cars, that's Jack Hawksworth, currently 9th at a 1:31.7. And that's again McGuinness's 25.1, so 6.5 seconds difference. Very interesting. Again, just 3 laps, already 3 laps in the books. There's a 4th lap for Hawksworth, a 1:26.3. And again, he's certainly bringing those tyres in more circumspectly than would normally be the case.
Alex Riberas, yeah, goes to the top for Heart of Racing and the Aston, coming off a fantastic weekend for that team at Long Beach.
And that is a new qualifying record for GTD category in general.
Oh, really?
The old record was at 1:23.872 last year by Lawrence Vantour, pro driver, of course. So this is a 1:23.819 there for the Spaniard.
I think they had their Roman De Angelis driven number 27 car just in the real tracks of Alex there, as they were circulating in team formation. Still the McGuinness time for Carbahn holding up, and he's going quickest in fact of the GTDs. No reason why a GTD car couldn't be quicker than the GTD Pros. They run to the same specifications. It's the drivers again that are different. As up into second place now, Jack Hawksworth. Make that third as Daniel Juncadella for WeatherTech Racing. Well, he came on really strongly, Jeremy, at the end of free practice 2 a couple of hours ago, and clearly that experience have stood him in very good stead.
It was he who set the fastest time this morning. 1:23.281 was the stand he set this morning. This afternoon, yes, a little bit slower, isn't it, the track? 1:23.288. So 7 thousandths of a second away for a time he turned this morning. There's a big lock-up for Michael De Quesada at the top of the corkscrew.
In the Allegra Motorsport GT3 AMG. He's not the first.
Excuse me, John, that's exactly what you're trying not to do during this qualifying session, because the cars have to start on the same tyres with which they qualified. They can change the tyres and go to the back, but they would lose their championship points gained during this session if they choose to do that.
Not the first, and absolutely won't be the last to go straight on and have to take to the dirt there. The Allegra car is continuing. No point in coming in, can't do anything with it, can't change the tyres or anything like that. 5.5 minutes to go. McGuinness still leading for Carbahn in GTD. Juncadella for WeatherTech going through 1:23.164 for Daniel Juncadella. That's the mark that everybody's got to beat. He's got 0.2 of a second now over the Heart of Racing, Alex Riberas in the number 23. In second position, Hawksworth now down to 5th, but third best of the GTD Pros for Vassar Sullivan as Roman De Angelis. Oh, this is a great run for Heart of Racing. They've got their cars second and third overall which is second and first in GTD Pro and GTD. Roman De Angelis then with a 1:23.852 goes ahead by a third of a tenth of a second and takes provisional pole, and the Carbon car has come into the pit lane. Oh, big moment there for De Angelis as Robbie Foley just pips him to provisional pole. It's the BMW of Turner Motorsport now on provisional GTD pole, and that's the inside of row 2 from De Angelis. A third of a second and then 6/1000th of a second are what are splitting the first three. Foley, De Angelis and McGuinness in the top three positions. GTD. Chamonix up to second. Overall for Faf now, that was a big moment for Roman De Angelis. Very fast hands, Jeremy, to catch that coming through turn 5. Now, meantime, Chamonix up to second. So now it's Juncadella for AMG, Faf Motorsports Porsche in second, then the Heart of Racing Aston Martin, then Turner Motorsports BMW, the first of GTDs, then Heart of Racing Aston Martin, then Carbon with Peregrine. So plenty, once again, we say this a lot, but you know, there's a Lambo in there, there's a couple of Astons in there, there's a Porsche, there's an AMG, and there's a BMW, and behind them is a Lexus. We love this variety, Jeremy.
Yeah, we do, don't we? And that's the hallmark of GTD competition. We've got a whole bunch of different manufacturers here. Unfortunately, no Ferrari this weekend, but still we've got 8 other manufacturers, and there doesn't seem to be much to choose between any of them. And that was a great lap by Daniel Juncadella, 1:23.164 for the Spaniard there. That's seriously impressive. And the Spaniards first and third then, with Jaminet, the Frenchman, in between them in the Faf Porsche, and just 0.2 of a second between those three at the moment. Robbie Foley is there in 4th position. Well, this is tremendous. What a good job by Jaden Conwright.
Yep.
3rd fastest in regular GTD in the NT eSport car.
New provisional pole. It is Porsche and the Frenchman in the Canadian car, the Canadian team running a German car. The number 9 Haggerty Driveway Porsche, the Faf Plaid car, by 0.022 of a second to Juncadella, who's pitted with 2 minutes to go, so he'll not get anything better than that. He will be no better than second. So WeatherTech on the front row at the moment, Heart of Racing on the inside of row 2, they're in the pits as well. Jack Hawksworth's in the pits. The BMW of John Edwards still out there for Team RLL. And Jordan Taylor still out there for the Corvette. I think if I'm jamming here, I pit this lap. I really do. He's not up, he's lifted. He's lifted off on the timing. Here comes Foley. Pole for GTD at the moment. Sprinting to the line. Does he improve? He does not. No, he did have a better first sector there. He's got all of 0.31 of a second. Check that, 0.031 of a second from Heart of Racing in second. And then Jaden Conwright for NTE SSR as up to 4th overall and just half a second behind Alex Ribeiras. John Edwards for BMW M Team RLL. So the top 4 now, the GTD Pros. The other 2 GTD Pros, Hawksworth in the Vassar Sullivan Lexus and Jordan Taylor in the Corvette, they're in the pits. So only John Edwards now who can improve of the GTD force. But GTD itself, Jeremy, is amazing. We've got the top 4 within a second thereabouts. Within a 10th of a second, excuse me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was going to say. But that's normal standard practice, isn't it? Brilliant stuff in GTD, and that's the BMW and Aston and a couple of Lamborghinis as well. Those top 4 cars, so really tight between 3 different manufacturers there. And yeah, this has been a fascinating session. Interesting that also that John Edwards in that BMW M Team RLL entry went out a little bit later, I think, than some of the other cars, didn't he? That's kind of a hallmark of this team. They often tend to do that. We'll see whether he can go faster. Russell Ward, wow.
Russell Ward's just absolutely blitzed it in a class that was separated by fractions of a tenth. He's half a second ahead of the, maybe that's 7/10 ahead of the next best GTD car. He's 4th overall as the checkered flag falls. Here comes John Edwards to the line. Does not improve in the BMW M-Team RLL. Russell Ward for the Windward Racing number 57 AMG, a 1:23.5. That's right there with the pros, and that is a super time from Russell.
Yeah, it's only a couple of tenths ahead of Robbie Foley, but it is nevertheless a very, very impressive lap for Russell Ward there, 1:23.567. And again, the existing GTD lap record was a 1:23.8 by Lawrence Vantor, the factory Porsche driver last year. Checkered flag out on this session.
So Ward with a 23.5 and John Edwards with a 23.7. They're not in the same class, 23.8. Yeah, so 3 tenths, as Jeremy said. Sorry, I was adding stuff up rather than taking it away on the Alcamel screen. My apologies. Nobody getting out the cars yet. Is there anybody else who can improve? Looks like Russell Ward's lifted off. Yes, he's coming into the pit lane. Techemet.
Yeah, Robbie Foley's still out there, but I don't think he's going any quicker.
No. Jaden Conwright is though. Jaden Conwright's got a lap going here and he's going to stay out. The checkered flags for him, the blue and white Lamborghini coming to the line, and he goes into second in GTD with a 23.7. Last man across the line and gets second best time in GTD, 6th best in the whole of the GT Daytona field. That's a great run for Conwright and NTE SSR. New names to the IMSA paddock and mixing it up with some established teams and drivers.
The 22-year-old from Fremont, California, up in the Bay Area. Great effort by him, but hats off to Russell Ward there in that Techemet Mercedes to get the pole position provisionally, of course, in GTD. And a brilliant lap also by Matthew Jaminet in the FAF Porsche. What a way for that team to bounce back after that ridiculous disappointment at Long Beach, where an errant wheel nut went through the radiator, not through the front of the radiator, through the back of the radiator. Just bizarre.
Yeah, the radiator exit vent behind the radiator, the slot in the middle of what would be the bonnet and the hood of that car, and the Porsche being struck by the right front wheel nut, lug nut from the Corvette, which was behind it, fired over the top, bounced down the windscreen and rolled into the area of the radiator. The fueler saw it, made sure he was out the way. It actually hit the fuel hose and then he took it out, but realised it punctured the radiator itself, and they were losing coolant, and that car didn't come out after the pit stop. Bad luck. I mean, just ridiculously bad luck.
I've seen some bizarre things in this sport over the years, the 50 years I've been involved in it, but that's certainly one for
one for the ages.
Goes for the biscuit, that one. It really does. Incredible.
Pole position then for GTD Pro Matthew Jaminet for FAF Motorsport with the Haggerty Driveway Porsche. Shea Adam is there.
That was a fantastic lap for Matthew. That lap came out of nowhere, though. We've been watching the timing screen. You sat in the pit lane a little bit longer. Was that your secret to waiting for the qualifying?
Yeah, I don't know if this was the secret, but yeah, definitely had a very good lap there. I think I did my best lap of the weekend at the right time. So yeah, I'm happy to see you today. I hope I see you tomorrow for a top spot. But yeah, today we had really a good run. Car is amazing. Team did a fantastic job. So yeah, really pleased with that.
How did you guys pick yourselves up after that ridiculous incident at Long Beach? That had to just take all the wind out of the sails.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this was, I'd say, kind of unexpected, obviously. So yeah, to bounce back now today with a pole position, just to thank the boys for all the hard work they put in since Long Beach. And yeah, we seem quite strong this weekend. So yeah, we need to maximize the performance tomorrow. But for sure, it's nice to start up front.
Your last pole interview came 5 years ago, so let's please make this a more frequent occasion, okay?
Yeah, I will try. I'm going to have a few more shots this year for qualifying, so I hope it's not the last one of the year.
Congrats, Matthew.
Thank you.
So Porsche on pole position for GTD Pro. That is the first since for Mathieu for, as Shea says, 5 years, and that in fact was at his very first race in this championship back in 2017 at the Circuit of the Americas. Great lap near the end by Russell Ward, Windward Racing, the 57 AMG GT3 is 4th best of the GTD cars and on pole for the GTD class, yeah?
Yes, he is. And when I talked to him earlier, he was very excited. Now he gets to do the pole photos, something that he's never experienced before, because this Rolex 24-hour winner has never been on pole before. So for Russell, this is an exciting event. Having a little bit of fun with Rick Dole for the pole photos now. They just pulled him away, and we'll get him back in just a sec. But for Russell, this is a whole new experience because he did do qualifying in pilot, but I don't think he ever got a pole in that championship. So coming to this track where he did get his first ever win, and the first win for the team, as he told us earlier, in the Michelin Pilot Challenge Championship, this is now pole position. This is a different feeling, isn't it?
It is a different feeling. You know, I've only been up here one time at Virginia, and that race start didn't go too well. But, awesome. The guys gave us such a good car. I mean, we've got some of the best guys in the world, and they showed it. And that thing's just a rocket ship right now.
The lap came at the end of the session. You've been out there running around more and more and more. How much is left in the tires?
You know, I had a lot of traffic initially, and we had that one Mercedes stalled at pit lane and kind of bunched everybody up. So it was just, I didn't want to over push the tire when I knew there might be someone in front. These cars have a decent amount of aero wash. So, when you're following somebody, they really doesn't turn that well. So, I tried to just build a gap as good as I can, and then, put down a time I think was good enough for P6, and then did a cool down lap, and the tire was still there. So I think it's just key, just not sliding around here. That doesn't give you fast lap times. That doesn't help at all. It just kills the tire. So I think it'll be good for the race.
Congrats on today. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, Shay. Have a good one.
That was a stunning lap by Russell, a driver who is still relatively early in his career, came to motor racing a bit later than some of his contemporaries, and he's just getting better and better. And when he really puts his mind to it, as we've seen today, Jeremy, there is literally nobody better in the field. Qualifying not necessarily been his strong point down through the years, but he put a good lap together today, no doubt.
Yeah, that was stunning. I mean, as you say, for somebody who's relatively inexperienced, that is mighty impressive. And this is a tough track here, and you have to have your wits about you. He did 10 laps. That was on his 9th lap. So he brought the tires in carefully, and then laid it down in the end when there was the proper heat was in the tires. They hadn't got too hot, and he lays down a brilliant lap there. So hats off to Russell Ward. Very, very impressed by that pole position lap, and as he said, he'd be looking to take full advantage of that tomorrow during the race.
Obviously got a car that is very good indeed around here. Did look very well balanced earlier on this morning, and we'll keep an eye on that, I think, when we're racing tomorrow. Shea Adam has our prototype qualifying drivers. We'll see the DPIs, which should be at the front of the field, and the LMP2s as well. Shea, DPIs first. Who have you got?
DPIs first. All right, well, we've got Oliver Jarvis in the 60 for Meyer Shank Racing, that Acura. In the other Acura, it is Ricky Taylor for Konica Minolta. We knew both of those because we interviewed, Ricky and Tom Blomqvist, who told us that it would be Ollie behind the wheel of the 60. Talked to Tristan Nunez yesterday, driver of the number 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac. Got pole here in 2016, going to try and do it again today. We've got Alex Lynn in the 02 Cadillac for Cadillac Racing, and in the sister car, who's been on pole the last 2 times? It's Sebastian Bourdais. Who is qualifying that car? It's Sebastian Bourdais. And in the 5, the Mustang Sampling Cadillac, that is Tristan Vautier behind the wheel. As far as LMP2 goes, John, well, that one's easy. If you're the bronze driver in the car, you are qualifying it. So John Ferrano for Tower. We've got Stephen Thomas and Patrick Kelly for PR1 Matheson, Dwight Merriman in for ERA, Dennis Anderson for High Class, and Henrik Hedman for Dragon Speed.
Well, let's hope for something just as exciting as the 15 minutes that we've just seen. And a reminder that whether you're here in the US or further afield, that the qualifying for IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship is always free on IMSA.tv. And we've got sound and vision on IMSARadio.com as well. Everyone can join us for that, and that will not change. That's been the same for many years now, and that will not change throughout the rest of the season. So hopefully you'll want to join us for that as well, as many of you are back in Europe and the UK. In Europe, it's just after 10 o'clock in the evening, quarter past 9 in the UK, coming up to 15 minutes past 1 here at the Monterey Peninsula and the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for a brilliant weekend of sports car and endurance racing. The Hyundai Monterey Sports Car Championship. John Hinoff and Jeremy Shaw in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre for IMSA Radio, and of course we'll be live and free across the US and the rest of the world on RS2 for all of the races this weekend, including the big race tomorrow, which will also be on Sirius XM 207 if you want to join us on that. We've got you covered in every way, shape or form. Thank you if you're at the track. The green flag has already been thrown. We are ready to go racing. I might as well have a dartboard here and just throw a dart at it, because Jeremy Shaw, I have got no idea here. Yes, the Acuras have looked very good, but certainly there's a couple of drivers I think we've got to watch outside of the two Acura drivers. Ollie Jarvis, we know how good he is at qualifying. We know how good Ricky Taylor is. But I don't think we can count out all of the Cadillacs. Might just see something a little bit special from an Earl Bamber or a Renger van der Zande. I've got no clue.
Yes, Rengo's going to be qualified, not Sebastian Bourdais. That's interesting, because Sebastian has been just on a different planet, particularly at Long Beach last time out in the 01 car for Cadillac Racing. But if it's Renger, he's quick still. But I'm surprised that Bourdais wouldn't be qualifying that car after the lap, particularly after the lap he put down this morning. Are you sure it's Renger in the car?
That's what I'm seeing on the timing screen. Shea did walk down, and she's telling me it is Bourdais. So we'll just wait. Fine. A bit of a delay on the Alcamel timing system here. Let me just check the other Alcamel screen I've got out. Maybe they haven't come out of the pits. Yes, that's what it is. My apologies, Jeremy. That was my mistake, not the timing screen.
In which case, stand back, because Bourdais, he's driving as well as he ever has in his career. He's 43 years old now, but you wouldn't know it because he's driving like somebody who's in his mid-late 20s. I think when he gets around 40, there's a huge lock up there for, I think that is the era car, isn't it? Yeah. So
Dwight Merriman behind the wheel of the number 18.
Up. But Bourdais, I always reckon the drivers that really at their peak around about age 40. I really do. They've got, by that stage, they've got a lot of experience under their belt. They're still highly motivated. And Bourdais, he's a couple of years older than that at 43, but driving just brilliantly at the moment. I mean, his performance at Long Beach, apart from the one mistake, of course, which would normally, one would have thought, have thrown away the race, but it just compounded that performance, because he was in a different league in qualifying, romped away in the first few laps of the race, then had a miscue at the hairpin, and had to do it all again, come from the back, pull up 20 seconds on the field, pass everybody, and then hand over the car to Renger van der Zande, still in the lead. I mean, you'd think he started from the pole, won the race, no problem, right? Well, that wasn't the case with Sebastian. He really made it interesting for everybody. Just a sensational performance. And it was pretty much the same at Sebring as well. So can he do it again here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, when we know, that the Acuras have the upper hand here?
Yeah, this is a fast-flowing circuit, which is what the Acuras seem to like. It's going to be Alex Lynn in Cadillac number 02. Bourdais, as we've said, in the 01, as Tristan Fortier pulls out. Both Cadillacs still sitting quietly. Slightly brooding look to them, don't they, when they're sitting in the pit lane. Ollie Jarvis goes through, starts another lap. Stephen Thomas qualifying the PR1 Matheson LMP2, the number 11. Being very, very careful indeed about getting their tyres up to temperature and pressure in the way that they want to. They'll have discussed that strategy, whether it's 1 lap, 2 laps or more laps before they attack. 10.5 minutes to go. There goes Ricky Taylor down to the first corner in the number 10 Konica Minolta Acura. That's the black, gloss black and blue car. Just going through turn 3 now under the Michelin bridge.
Just looking at the GTD session, John, just in terms of tyre warm-up, the majority of cars set their fastest lap on lap 5 or lap 6. Most of them did around about 8, 9 or 10 laps, but interestingly Russell Ward set his best time on his 9th out of 10 laps. Jaden Conright set his best lap, he was second in GTD in his 10th out of 11 laps. So kind of interesting there to see how whether that same scenario plays out amongst the prototypes.
Yeah, all the prototypes on the same compound and construction of Michelin tyre, but it's not, of course, exactly the same tyre as the GTs. It's a very different animal, these race cars. Ollie Jarvis goes through 1:15.1. That's the first representative time, and immediately it's beaten by Ricky Taylor at a 15 flat. But remember, we were down to low 14s earlier. We had a 14.1 earlier on. I'm not sure that time is in the track here, even with low fuel and maybe a slightly tweaked qualifying setup as well. But it's very hot. Triple digits on the Fahrenheit scale on the track is not conducive to good tyre grip. This is a track that is noted for not being terribly gritty. 38 degrees Celsius on the track at the moment. That's a 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Taylor, Jarvis, Nunes, that's your top three. Coming down to halfway through this session, big slide going through the top of the corkscrew for the number 31. That's Tristan Nunes. For Whelen Engineering, the red and white Cadillac, he's committed, he's quick. 40 years just gone through as well on his first representative lap. It's Ollie Jarvis back to the top, but he's not going to stay there long. Here comes Taylor. 13.9. We are into the 13s. It was a 14.3 for Jarvis, 13.9 for Ricky Taylor. Well, I'm just going to get me caught and leave now, Jeremy. What do I know about what these cars and these Michelin tyres can do around WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca? That is a stunning time from Ricky Taylor.
Yeah, impressive. And he's never going to lay it down absolutely everything online until it really matters. But it matters here in qualifying because track position is important here. It's difficult to pass when cars are so closely matched. And there is Bourdais off the road at turn 11 onto the dirt. That's going to mess up those tyres considerably. So it's going to take him now quite a bit longer, having already waited in the pits for the first 5 minutes of this session or more. Now he's going to have dirt all over those tyres. He's going to clean those off before he gets them all lined up to go for a fast lap. That might have been a mistake, not only from the team in electing to wait longer in the session, but certainly by Bourdais there in turn 11 to see whether he can come back from it.
Well, he's the king of comeback, as we saw when he was in the wall at Long Beach and then drove, well, otherworldly last time out on the streets down the coast. So Taylor with a 13.9, Ollie Jarvis with a 14.3, and he's nearly 4/10 away from Paul. The Englishman will be shaking his head at that one when the team tells him he's eased off and he's cooling his tyres but staying out there. Then it's Vautier with a 15 flat, so 7/10 further back in. LMP2, Stephen Thomas and Patrick Kelly are having a cracking backwards and forwards. Advantage Thomas at the moment for the PR1 Matheson team. It's both of their cars, the 11 and the 52 at the moment. 3/4 of a second between them, but they have been going back and forth. Ferrano into third for Tower Motorsport. John's done a 1:19.5. He just drops down into 50 because the Dragon Speed, number 81 car, the Evel Knievel kind of livery on that car. Henrik Edman has just done an 18.9. Dennis Anderson, High Class Racing, a 19.6. That's good enough for 5th in class. And Dwight Merriman for Aero Motorsport, a 20.6. Now, Jarvis has got another good lap going. And he's going to be very close across the line. Oh, he's just failed to do it after a slow down lap. A 1:14.013. He's 0.089 of a second behind pole position. And Ricky Taylor's off on another quick lap as well. His third sector was the best of anyone as he was setting up for another lap. He goes through turn 3 now, under the Michelin bridge towards the right-hand in turn 4. My goodness, that number 10, Konica Minolta Acura, is looking very sharp on the nose. It's turning in so positively. He's got front tyre temperature to get the car turned in. He's got plenty of grip from the back. Didn't use all the exit of turn 5 there. 28.2 in the first sector. That's not going to be quick enough. He may have even backed out of it already. 4.5 to go. Less than 1/10 of a second between first and second.
Yeah, he has.
Now, who else is going for a quick one? Bourdais. He cooled right off last time around. He's into turn 5 now. Wow, the front of that car's got a bit of travel on it. It actually dived down under braking. You saw when Sebastian hit the brakes. Now through turn 6, right out over the red and white curbs and onto the green. Now we get your warning in MotoGP. He still had 2 Michelin tyres on the track. That's fine through the corkscrew. Cadillac 01 from Chip Ganassi looking balanced. Plenty of room in front of him.
Good lap for Alex Lynn.
He had to pinch it. Lynn's done a very good lap, Jeremy. He's up into 3rd, isn't he? Yes, he is.
He is indeed, yeah, with a really good first sector, 28.198. Not quite as quick as Jarvis, who's gone quicker again now in sector 1.
He doesn't have to find much, Jarvis. Here comes Bourdais across the line, and a 15.2. So it was an improvement from Sebastian Bourdais. Goes ahead of the Wheel and Engineering Cadillac of Nunes, and off for Bourdais at the exit of the Andretti hairpin. So 1 quick lap and an off, and he'd have to, he locked up on the way in. Left front Michelin. He was on and off the brakes, cadence braking you call that. These cars don't have ABS, so you have to do that manually. You can't, of course, operate the brakes 50 odd times a millisecond the way ABS does. But that was good driving from Bourdais, saved the car. Ollie Jarvis has not improved his lap time. Had a good first sector but couldn't back it up in sectors 2 and 3. Patrick Kelly has closed down to within half a second of Stephen Thomas in the PR1 Matheson battle. The internecine scrap at the front of LMP2, the 11 from the 52, still first and second, now down to 0.3 of a second as Patrick Kelly is starting to put the pressure on his PR1 Matheson Motorsport teammate. What has Ollie Jarvis got left? No, not good in the first sector. However, Alex Lynn's put his first sector together, and he's only 0.2 further back. 2 minutes to go. Amazing. It has to be said. I know we're burning VP Racing fuel off here and the cars are getting lighter, Jeremy, but amazing longevity in a really hot, sticky, in every sense of the word, qualifying session by the Michelin tyres.
Yeah, you're right. You know, there's several drivers here turning a series of good laps, but it's certainly, Sebastian Bourdais is right on the edge here and has been throughout the qualifying session. He's still out there, isn't he? Yeah, he is still out there. But I'm not sure that decision to stay out at the early part of the session might not be working in his favour. But look, there is still time to go. The tyres, I still think, I assume he's got enough time for at least another couple of laps. Here he is. He's green on each of the first 2 sectors now as he comes into the turn 11, the final corner, accelerates towards the start finish. I think he's going to challenge for the pole, but it's certainly going to be an improvement.
Yes, he goes above Christian Vautier to 4th position. In the meantime, Ricky Taylor has pitted from provisional pole, so a 1:13.9 is as much as they feel they can wring out of that Konica Minolta Acura. Just 0.089 behind, remember, Ollie Jarvis, and he's not going any quicker. He's a couple of tenths down in the first sector. I think Ollie might peel off at the end of this one. So it's all about Bourdais and Lynn in the 2 Cadillacs.
And they went out of the pits 2 or 3 laps after everybody else. Alex Lynn has just gone green in the first 2 sectors. A great first sector there for Sebastian Bourdais as well. At the moment, Lynn has a couple and a half tenths of a second over Bourdais. He's going faster again. Wow, that was close.
0.059 behind a front row start. That's extraordinary. Just over a tenth between the top 3 there, Jeremy, if I'm reading that right. That is quality stuff. Here comes Bourdais. He's on a decent one as well. Goes very wide, almost over the curbs at turn 11. Has he held it together? Needs to find 0.4 of a second. He doesn't. He has a little bit of a better lap, but doesn't get that much closer to his teammate. Alex Lynn, by the way, has managed to get through for another lap, but he's lifted off. That's all right. Jarvis did come into the pit lane. And Stephen Thomas. Wow, Patrick Kelly got really close to his teammate, 0.057 of a second. And just failed to pip his PR1 Matheson Motorsport teammate by the blink of an eye, half a tenth of a second. Here's Dragon Speed. Hedman coming through with a good lap going here. Finds a couple of tenths, cements his 3rd place in LMP2 in the red, white and blue, the stars and stripes of the Flex Box number 81 Dragon Speed car. Well, Jeremy, I'm very happy with that, if that's what's setting us up for tomorrow at the race, aren't you?
Very much so, yeah. That was a stunning lap from, this time it was Alex Lynn who eclipses his Cadillac Racing Chip Ganassi teammate Sebastian Bourdais, the Englishman there. A really fine effort to turn that lap at a 1 minute 14.072. We've got the top 3 cars all quicker than the old lap record, which was 1:14.4 set last year by Philip Albuquerque. Ricky Taylor in that same car found a full half a second on that time, 13.9 for the pole, but by 0.089 of a second over Jarvis in second place in the second of the Acuras, and then the best of the Cadillacs, only another 0.059 behind as well. So great lap by Lynn. Bourdais, he'll be ruining those couple of mistakes, I think, on his tyres. I think he will know there's a bit more in the car because Alex Lynn found it and he didn't.
Yeah, half a second between those two. And a couple of laps, at least actually 4 laps wasted, because the lap that you go off, then the lap that you have to clean your tyres up. So, you know, Bourdais actually does very well to get that close, given the amount of laps that he didn't convert. But we've got a 1 minute 13.924, the sort of gaps that we normally see in Mazda MX-5. Idemitsu racing at the top of the DPI and the LMP2 standings. Shea Adam has our pole sitter for Sunday for the Hyundai Monterey Sports Car Championship.
For the 14th time, Ricky Taylor, you were on pole in the DPI category. That's an insane number. And 3rd time here. Did you think it was going to be in the 13s, though?
Yes. I thought 13.8. We always talk about that before qualifying, but in qualifying you always extract that a little bit more. But our Acura has been so good all weekend. We've led every session, but we felt so much pressure with how close it's kind of closed up throughout the weekend. Everybody's kind of gaining ground, so we've been having to keep on our toes a bit. But it's definitely nice here in Laguna to start on pole is a huge advantage, even if it's by the slimmest of margins. Helps us to control the pace a bit. I just need to do my job and make sure we get through that first lap cleanly.
Well, it was pole to a win last year, but it was Philippe who got the pole, and then you were the closer. What have you told Philippe about game plan potentially going into tomorrow if you were to get pole?
Well, he gave me the car with like an 11-second lead, so he needs to tell me what I need to do to make his life easier, because he gave me a very easy race last year. I think this year's going to be a completely different story. Ganassi has shown so much pace, increased over last season. This should be a track that favors us, and they are right there. So we definitely feel the pressure. I think they're even stronger over the long run. So we'll have to keep working on it. This is definitely a qualifying setup, and we'll have to come back tomorrow and be on our A game to execute for the win.
Congrats on the pole.
Thank you very much.
So by the slimmest of margins, Ricky Taylor over Ollie Jarvis for the two Acuras, 0.089. Even closer between the two teammates. PR1 Matheson Motorsport, the 11 car of Stephen Thomas, by 0.057 of a second over his teammate Patrick Kelly.
Well, Stephen, it's the third pole position for you in the LMP2 class. You told me earlier you were worried about your teammate because that's the guy you were learning from. I think you learned from him to get this pole, don't you?
I sure did. He's the greatest. He helped me get this. I really appreciate it. He's the best.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Well, two cracking prototype qualifying sessions has seen Konica Minolta Acura from Wayne Taylor Racing grab the pole position from Ollie Jarvis in the Meyer Shank Racing Acura. In LMP2, PR1 Matheson have locked out the front row. Earlier on in GTD Pro, it was Pfaff Motorsport and Mathieu Jaminet who took the pole position for Porsche. And in GTD, Russell Ward for AMG and Winwood Racing takes the pole position. But leading up to the green tomorrow, live on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV, Ricky Taylor and the Konica Minolta Acura for the Hyundai Monterey Sports Car Championship. For Jeremy Shaw and Shea Adam, I'm John Hindhaugh. Bye-bye.